we have a comment here that says, as a Chiefs fan, I think the Chargers, he likes the Chargers as the alternate in the AFC West. What do you think about the Chargers?
Yeah, I'm not sold on the Chargers. I don't dislike their roster, and I think they've made some good moves this offseason between signing Brian Bulaga, adding Kenneth Murray in the draft, signing Chris Harris away from the Denver Broncos. I think that was a really good get for them, even though Harris is on the older side. But with the Chargers, it all boils down to quarterback, and the options you have currently are Tyrod Taylor, who was so bad for the Browns in 2018 that he couldn't even make it through 3 games as a starter. And in his last start for the Browns, he completed 4 of 14 passes for 19 yards. I was researching this yesterday, and it was unfathomably bad. And I like Taylor. He's a solid backup, but I don't think he can make it through the full season as a starter for a winning team. And then you have Justin Herbert, who was the number 6 overall pick, but he's pretty raw. He's going to need some time to develop. So I think with those 2 guys at quarterback, you're not looking at a winning team in 2020 unless there's some massive surprise, unless Taylor is somehow way more accurate than he was in seasons past. And his downfield throwing ability is a massive question. And then the only other option would be Herbert really progressing fast, much faster than anyone expects. And, they have the weapons needed for that to potentially happen between Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Hunter Henry, if he can stay healthy. But I just don't trust the quarterback situation, so I can't trust the Chargers right now.
I like the Chargers roster overall, though. They added to their offensive line. They got Brian Bulaga, and they traded for Trey Turner. The 2 solid upgrades in the offensive line, which is a big issue. They still have issues at right tackle and one of the guard spots. And center Mike Pouncey is good if he's healthy, but he's never healthy. So, once he goes down, they're going to have 3 issues on the offensive line. It's still going to be better than it was last year, but it's going to be a problem. You mentioned Hunter Henry staying healthy. That's not going to happen. Let's face it. Anyway, but their defense is awesome though. Like the Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram on the outside. They're just great. They're 2 of the probably one of the best pass rushing tandems in the NFL. And their secondary didn't have Derwin James for most of last year, and getting Derwin James back for the entire season is going to be huge, I think. And they added Chris Harris to help their secondary. Their one weakness on defense last year was stopping the run. They were just gashed against the run against rush-heavy teams last year. But they signed Linval Joseph away from the Vikings, who's going to be a big run plugger. They drafted Kenneth Murray. He'll help too. So I think the Chargers have one of the better defenses in the NFL. The problem is what you said. It's quarterback. Like Tyrod Taylor, I agree. He's a good backup. But to count on him as a starter, he can win a game here and there if he's carried by his teammates. But, for him to get to the playoffs, I think that's a very tall order, even with the defense he has. So we'll see what happens with Justin Herbert. How soon do you think Justin Herbert's going to start? But just, off the top of your head.
I think he has to start this year unless the team brings in like Cam Newton or someone instead of Taylor to really give him that full year. But I would assume that Taylor makes it through at most 8 starts, but I think the 6 start mark is where we're going to start seeing like it's time to put Herbert in. And, Anthony Lynn's seat may get a little bit hotter. I don't think he's like on the hot seat or anything, but say Taylor struggles really badly, but their defense plays well. Then we may see Justin Herbert thrown into the fire. I could kind of see this being a little like the Dwayne Haskins situation in Washington last year. The one difference being that Herbert's supporting cast and team is significantly better than what Haskins was dealing with in Washington. But I think Herbert will come in, not quite be ready, but I think he could still find some success towards the end of the season. But I think it's going to be a rocky road when he comes in. I'm going to say he makes 10 starts as a rookie.
Okay. I was looking at their schedule. I think there are a couple of spots that make sense. One, obviously, after the bye. So their bye is week 10. So, week 11 makes sense for him to make his first start. But I'm looking at this couple of easy opponents that, they give him the first start. They have Jacksonville at home week 8. Why not just put in Justin Herbert? It's a very easy matchup. I think that makes a lot of sense. And another one, if Tyrod Taylor is terrible, let's just say he loses to the Bengals, which is, given that they had the worst record last year, it might be embarrassing. Then week 2, they have the Chiefs, who could just blow them out. If it's that ugly, in week 3 they play the Panthers at home. And I think Justin Herbert could start as early as week 3. I think you're probably right. I think it's probably going to be closer to October, November-ish, but it wouldn't surprise me if they pull the plug early on Taylor.
Yeah, we could see very what happening in Cleveland, where the plan was to sit Baker Mayfield as long as possible and try to win with Taylor. And Taylor was just so bad against the Jets in week 3 that they pulled him at the half, put in Mayfield, and won the game. And then it was never questioned beyond that. You could see that happen against the Panthers. If they get blown out by the Chiefs, Taylor, I would assume they'd still start Taylor against the Panthers unless things got really bad. But, if they're like losing by 14 at the half to the Panthers, then you got to think all right, it's time to pull the plug on this and just let's see what Herbert can do. But I think that's going to be one of the most interesting storylines to watch in the division, because I think that's going to have a big impact on how the Chargers play and how Herbert develops. The Chargers kind of are, I would say, the most volatile team in the division. I could see them finishing with 4 or 5 wins because of their quarterback situation, or if one of them miraculously pans out, it's possible they could make the playoffs. I won't rule anything out because the rest of their roster outside of the quarterback position is strong, but I just don't think they have quite enough steam to make it now.
Yeah. We have a couple questions. I'll answer them right after we finish this division off. So the last team, the Raiders, I think they're another team that people might think might make a jump. How do you feel about the Raiders this year?
Yeah, I kind of like them. Okay. When I look at them on offense, there's one thing that just stands out to me. It's this offense just doesn't feel like it's built for Derek Carr to be the quarterback. You got Tyrell Williams and Henry Ruggs are both better downfield threats, but Carr doesn't like to throw the ball deep. So that's kind of a little bit weird. I would have thought they would have gone, instead of Ruggs, going for a better route runner or a bigger catcher. So Jerry Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb. But Ruggs can still make plays off slants, so it's not like he can't do anything. But I feel like Carr is going to be more apt to target Hunter Renfrow in the slot short. Same with Darren Waller and Jason Witten, who they now have too, which is unfathomable to me that he is not on the Cowboys. But I'll take him on the Raiders over him in the broadcast booth. No offense, Jason Witten, but yeah, I like the Raiders' run game, though. I think Josh Jacobs is good. I think their offensive line is excellent outside of Colton Miller at left tackle, who still has a ton of upside, but hasn't put it all together yet. I think the big area we're looking at is on defense. What can they do there? We saw them generate better pass rush last year. That had fixed them, what was a massive issue for them. Then they invested a ton to improve their linebackers, which was their biggest issue last year. So I think they're moving in the right direction on defense. I think it all comes down to how that secondary gels together. I don't know if they have a true number 1 corner. I think Damon Arnett in the first round was a reach. Trayvon Mullen was okay as a rookie, and it looks like they signed Prince Amukamara, which I had missed. But they have players back there that can get the job done. I'm just interested to see how it all gels. So I like their roster. Again, I think it's the same thing with the Chargers. I like their roster, but I question how far Derek Carr can carry this team with the way the offense is constructed.
Yeah, Derek Carr is, I feel like if the Raiders had a good quarterback, I'd be like, okay, this team could make a really deep push into the playoffs. I don't like Derek Carr that much. He's very subpar. I think that's how you can describe him. He doesn't take shots downfield. Sometimes he will, but he'll often miss open receivers downfield. He'll settle for checkdowns instead, and it's got to be so frustrating. There's a reason why the Raiders made Marcus Mariota the most expensive backup quarterback. I think there's a decent chance Mariota takes over, and it wouldn't surprise me if he has a Ryan Tannehill type run where he's just better than the incumbent. I think that's definitely a possibility. Mariota, he won a playoff game before, which Derek Carr has not done. He's the former number 2 overall pick, higher than Derek Carr was. So Mariota has more talent than Derek Carr, and he has the mobility. Not that the Raiders necessarily need it with their offensive line, which I like a lot. But still, it could help, definitely. I like their defense a lot. They added to their linebacking core, Corey Littleton and Nick Kwiatkowski. I think those are 2 great additions. Malik Collins to the defensive line. If Cleveland Farrell can make a big jump in his second year, along with Max Crosby, they should have a very good pass rush. So that should negate some of the issues that you kind of had concern with in their secondary. And the secondary is probably the weakest area on the defense, but it's not that bad. Like if Arnett plays well as a rookie and Mullen makes an upgrade in his second year, and if Amuka Mara can stay healthy, they'll have a pretty good defense. It's just up to the quarterback. So, if Carr does better with a better receiving core, or if Mariota plays well, I could definitely see the Raiders make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's funny. The thing about Mariota that confuses me too, though, is he's another guy that he's not great on deep shots either. Like he's a super accurate quarterback, but I don't think he has the strongest arm, partially due to the elbow injuries he's had in recent year. Maybe if he's healthier and his elbow's in good shape, he'll be able to hit Ruggs downfield if he has to step in for Carr or something along those lines. And I like Mariota too. I think he has bounce back potential, if not with the Raiders, with another franchise down the line. But I will be interested to see how he operates in the offense compared to Derek Carr. But I do like the Raiders. I think they're moving in the right direction under John Gruden. And, if they can find a quarterback, or if Derek Carr can make the leap and really become a better downfield passer, which I don't see happening at this point, but you never know. I think they could be a playoff challenger from this division. This division overall, I think, is pretty strong.
I think so too. Who saw Ryan Tannehill leading the Titans to the AFC Championship? So, I guess anything can happen, really. But I agree that this division is very strong.